Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Sheldon here. It's been a while since my last video. It's been pretty crazy recently. To be honest, I've not had much time, but I'm hoping to change that in the future. But in any case, for anyone that's new to the channel, what we basically do is have a look at musical instrument auctions, have a quick look through the catalogue and see if there's anything interesting. So the purpose of this kind of video is just to kind of give you an overview of the auction, and I will personally just look at a few things that I think are interesting. If you are interested in the catalogue yourself, I think just go straight to the catalogue. I'll put a link in the description and just see what you think. So I'm not trying to kind of push any particular instruments or anything. I'm just having a quick look myself and making you aware of it. So we are on the website of Amati auctions based in the UK, which is an auction house I cover quite a lot. I went to the viewing actually for this auction, which was in London, so I've got a few videos that I'm going to quickly put up. So this is their specialist auction we're looking at, which is their higher end one, and it's finishing tomorrow actually on the 25th of June. Like I said, I'm very behind at the moment. It's the 24th today. Ideally I should have done this last week, but I've just been too busy really. So yeah, this is a UK based auction, bowed stringed instruments primarily, so violins, violas, cellos, etc. and associated stuff. Buyer's premium is 22%, so those of you new to auctions, you have to pay an additional fee on the final hammer price. So say if this ends at 10,000, you need to add 22% plus some other fees on top to your bill, so be careful about that. As this is a UK based auction house, bear in mind that, you know, if you're outside of the UK, there might be additional fees, import, you might have to pay kind of shipping stuff, like maybe there's CITES restrictions, so all of that stuff to bear in mind. Without further ado, we're just going to blitz through it. Like I said, super short on time, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll get that under a bit more control in the future. So there's 214 items in this auction. That is quite a small auction for Amati. Actually, recently they've been churning out double auctions or 300, 400 items, so this is fairly small. It is a specialist auction, so it's a higher level stuff, but this particular auction is kind of it's not as crazy as some of the auctions. The main auction seasons are kind of March and October, so you know, out of that season, it's kind of stuff which is a bit more middle tier, and we saw a Brompton's auction not that long ago, which was fairly similar, I think, a level to this, but there are still some interesting things. So yeah, we're just going to blitz through. First, just to say here, there's a cello by James W. Briggs, Glasgow 1924. Estimates 10 to 20, current bid is 10. With Amati you can do this 360 viewer. I just like to remind people of that, because sometimes people forget. Even like a friend of mine, I think bought an instrument from them and then, you know, was saying, oh, I wish I could have seen the sides and stuff, and I said, well, hang on a moment, like they literally have like a 360 viewer, so not really any excuse there. But in any case, you can see the pictures, you can see the back, scroll, and the condition report, and you can also ask for other information. I don't know much about James Briggs, to be honest, but he has been mentioned to me a few times, and a few people seem to really rate this maker. I just had a quick look for a bit more information online. It seems that he won like a few awards, was fairly like regarded, and even got some kind of position on, I think, the violin making guild or something in Germany, which is quite interesting. So I think an accomplished maker at the time and quite respected, so that's why I think these are popular. It certainly looks like a nice instrument, and I think I did see this in person at the viewing, and yeah, I think it's a well made cello. Then we've got some other stuff, possibly Italian, etc., probably France. Lots of different interesting stuff. We're not going to get into it too much now, because I said we're a little bit short on time. There's a JTL cello there, Cello England circa 1800, but some parts are not original, so worth just reading all the information here. Cello France, late 1800. So this is an interesting one here. Cello by Henry Lockie Hill, London circa 1820. It's got a Hill number as well, and it's got a receipt and certificate from W.E. Hill. So this is kind of one of the Hill family members there. 12 to 15 is the estimate on it. Nice looking cellos, had a lot of work done, big soundpost crack on the back, but it is closed. There's your Hill document there. yeah, so an interesting cello, that one for sure. It's a cello labelled and probably by Walter H. Mason, another kind of maker that floats around a lot. This was an interesting cello to see in person, a cello by Barry Taylor, circa 1980. Not a maker I'm familiar with, so if anyone knows anything about them, please let me know. These pictures are fairly tame compared to what this instrument looked like in person. This was the varnish is bright. It's a very bright instrument. I actually really like it. It's kind of interesting, and I think I took a video of this, so maybe later I'll upload some videos of it. But a very bright looking cello for sure, but condition pretty good there. Seems to be a closed crack outside of the instrument, so I think something's gone a bit awry there with their condition reports. But yeah, an interesting cello, that one. This, I think, was in my previous sale, this cello by Giuseppe Quagliano, I remember that name. This cello, I don't remember looking at this in person. I didn't really spend as much time at the viewing this time, I must be honest. I'm just been really quite busy with other stuff. Obviously a lot of issues and replaced things, missing wood on this cello, but I kind of quite, there's something about it I quite like. Estimate 1,500 to 4,000. There's no bids on that so far. Got Workshop of Store there, another JTL, probably England, Calsa. There's a Deutsch there. It's probably completely screwed that up. Another French cello here. So yeah, a few things in the cello department. Nothing outrageous, but interesting nevertheless. Then moving on to violas, where it does get a little bit more interesting. First lot, a viola by Tommaso Ebele of Naples, circa 1760. So one of the quite well-known Neapolitan makers there. So it's a lot of information here. It's been listed in a few different catalogues. 60 to 80 on that. I really don't know what the going rate is for Ebele viola, to be honest. It doesn't have a scroll, so that might have a bit of an effect, but actually really great condition considering this is like 1760. A bit mad really. 373 though, that is going to be the problem. That is a very small viola, and I'm just not sure that's really going to work for most violists. It might work for like a wealthy violinist who really fancies like a small viola, but I think that might be a difficult sell. Another English instrument here, viola by J.J. Gilbert, Peterborough. Another kind of maker that I know the name of, but I don't know much about. Really beautiful back on that. You see the varnish is starting to kind of crack a bit and kind of fail a little bit here at the front, but still an interesting instrument. Let's have a quick look at the length of the back. 395, that's a bit more respectable size there. I think that's fairly good. Another Viola England 19th century here. Let's have a bit more of a look at that one. Looks fairly interesting. 378, once again very small, but there are bids on that. So I mean, small violas are definitely kind of popular in some places, but in general people are looking for something a bit bigger. So we've got a viola by Giuseppe Nupieri, Rome 1980. Once again, not a maker I know anything about. Looks like potentially maybe a hobbyist or kind of other somewhat amateur maker from that work. That's probably just offended someone now, but that's kind of what it looks like from the start. 410 length about. That's a good modern length. Once again, I do not know anything about that maker, so if anyone knows anything, please do let me know. Looks like there's another one here without a bridge, and another one below. So yeah, looking at the workmanship again, it looks to me to be probably the work of some kind of amateur, but I could be wrong. Same here with the way these F holes are kind of cut, and just other general workmanship about that instrument. Just seems like probably a kind of amateur maker there. Viola France. Got a viola here by Phil Harding, Newent, 1993. Hand built and finished for Ainsley Fox there. Okay. Starting bid 400. Fairly pale varnish on that. Quite like these F holes actually. Quite nice. Yeah, fairly kind of interesting looking. Nothing kind of outrageous. 400 millimeters, the length of back, which is a fair size. It's a viola by Lawrence Cocker. So we see a whole load of Lawrence Cocker instruments, violins, violas. I think there's a violin in Brompton's. Probably most well known for bows, for the split cane bows. You see a lot of those by him, and I think by his wife as well. But yeah, this is the Tertis model viola after Lionel Tertis. Lots of makers made this. Interesting kind of scooped F holes there. Once again, it's a bit of a hard sell. I'm not sure how popular this Tertis model is anymore. 430 is getting a little bit on the big side. It kind of works for some people, but might be a bit big otherwise. Viola by Viola South Germany here, 500 to 1,000 on that. It's kind of interesting instrument, that 396, which is not too bad a size. I think you're probably looking over 400, probably ideal, but I'm not a violist. So got viola by Istvan Konya there. Another English kind of UK, to be more accurate, UK made viola there by Joseph Ross. Interesting Magini model here actually, starting bid 800. If you're into Magini, this could be quite a nice instrument. I'm pretty sure I looked at this in person, don't know if I took a video or not. I presume this is fairly big. 417, that's a good size for some people, might be a little bit big for others. That viola, I think the Clifford Hoying one, I think we've seen before. It's a new one. Viola, probably 18th century. 402 length of back, that's pretty good for an 18th century viola. Looks in pretty kind of interesting condition there, other than the scroll, which looks like it maybe that's replaced. So yeah, lots of things going on there. So viewing advised. The top has been quite mashed up. Let's actually have a look. I don't tend to really bother with the 360 unless it's something I really want to considering buying, which I'm definitely not in this case. But okay, yeah, you can see it's really heavy evidence there of worm tracks, so just worth looking at all this stuff. But having said that, interesting viola. Onto bows here, which I'm kind of moved away a bit from bows in recent years, so I'm not so excited. I'm more interested in making bows than actually buying them, but there are lots of people that do like them. Silver mounted cello bow by Matthew Coltman here, London. Good maker. I know him mostly for, I don't know him personally, but I know his work mainly for historical bows. But yeah, good, really good maker. And to be honest, I think £1,000 for a modern silver mounted cello bow by Matthew Coltman is I mean, depending on how it actually plays, obviously, and how the stick is, but that could potentially be a pretty good deal, so worth trying that. Probably a bit late now because it's the day before the auction, but in theory, otherwise. Okay, silver mounted viola bow by Victor Thomasin, London, circa 1920. Interesting. Current bid's 210. Does this have like a massive crack or something? Must have some kind of problem. You would have thought that that would be doing a bit better. Something. Look at that. It's got a whole. Looks like a whole different head on it. So, don't know. It's not saying anything here at all, but it does look a little bit weird here. There's nothing on the condition report, but that looks very odd. Maybe it's just a grain line, but it looks to me that the whole thing is kind of spliced on, but maybe not. I could be wrong. So you can ask them for more pictures. Some viola bows here. See here it's a Victor Thomasin viola bow that's starting bid 2000 with the box from Chanot there, so that's interesting. See Frechner bow there, not many bids so far. Ivory mounted viola bow there. Okay, silver mounted viola bow workshop of Benoit Roland, who's quite a kind of respected maker. Currently in the US, I think. So current bid 325. I think his kind of personal bows are fairly expensive. Got a whole load of bows here from Brian Tunnicliffe, who once again I know mainly for historical bows, but in recent times we've seen quite a lot of other Tunnicliffe bows at auction. I think he's still making. He's definitely into his 80s. As far as I am aware, but like a tidy maker. He was a cabinet maker originally, I believe, and I think he learnt bow making from one of the former Hill bow makers, one of the famous makers. I've completely forgotten who it was now because my brain is absolutely dead at the moment, but it will come back to me at some point. But he learnt from one of the really good Hill makers. Speaking of Hill bows, a violin bow here by W. Hill and Sons. Updated condition report here. So stamped H&S. You can tell a lot by the quality of the Hill bow based on kind of the stamp. So it looks like it's got this interesting cheek repair, but we can't see that side in pictures, which is slightly unfortunate. Let's see what else. It's a silver and tortoiseshell mounted Hill bow here, 1600 here. So with the Hill bows, I think I've said this a million times in auctions, but your top tier bow would be gold mounted with tortoiseshell and some kind of fleur-de-lis or something inlaid on the frog. That would be like one of the top quality bows. Interesting ivory mounted violin bow, England, 1925. Fairly nice looking bow, although I do advise to kind of not purchase anything that's ivory or tortoiseshell personally, especially if you're a musician, because it does make it very difficult. Right, silver mounted violin bow by Max Millant there, 1970. One of the was a very respected kind of bow expert. Workshops of Nuremberger. So there's definitely a few interesting bows here. Lots of Victor Thomasin bows actually in this sale, which is curious. Yeah, Arthur Bultitude. Interesting. Yeah, that is who I think Brian Tunnicliffe learnt bow making from, I believe. I knew that something would kind of jog my memory here. So yeah, Arthur Bultitude. Some good kind of bows there. Praja, good bow maker there. A silver and tortoiseshell mounted violin bow by Hart and Sons with the original box from Hart and Son. Looks like it's in a really tidy condition, that bow. Let's look what the condition. Yeah, bow in good condition. Be interesting to know how that bow plays, because that really is a really good condition for that bow. So interesting. Jean-Joseph Martin there. This gold mounted bow from Cremona, I think that was in a previous sale. Morizon. Got James Tubbs here, starting at 4.5. One of the best English bow makers. Looks like it needs a little bit of adjustment there on the frog. Condition report looks like it's kind of okay. Not sure exactly what's going on here. There's a few different colours going on there. Let's see what else we've got here. So yeah, good range of bows. Another Tubbs there, Frechner, more Hills, Bazar. So yeah, good range. Victor Fatigue there of French, English and other bows there. Finkel, Switzerland as well. Right, on to probably the most interesting instrument in this auction, possibly one of the most interesting instruments so far this year, in my opinion, in bowed strings. So a violin they have listed as a Marcin Groblitz Krakow circa 1580. So this is arguably probably not a valuable instrument, but a very rare 16th century instrument or violin from a maker outside of Italy. So the Groblitz family are based in what's kind of Poland, were making instruments since the kind of like, I think, mid to late 16th century. Many different members of this family, about five, at least five, all with exactly the same name, which is not very helpful. And they made these very interesting instruments with this kind of curious outline, these interesting, slightly Brescian-ish kind of F-holes. A lot of these violins were actually attributed to Brescia, I think, originally. Very common for them to have this bird's eye maple kind of back, but the main thing is this absolutely incredible kind of lion head, really, really interesting kind of aggressive lion head painting to the sky. So the condition of this instrument is pretty bad, but you know, it has a lot of age to it, and it's just exceptionally rare. This is really like I'm not sure if it's right to say collectors, but like, you know, someone that really appreciates the history of the violin, like this is the instrument. And yeah, there's a really great book about the Groblitz family that was for sale, I think, from the museum in Poznan. I'm not sure if you can still get it, but really great book. And having looked at that book, because this is one of my favourite makers of all times, I'm pretty sure that this is probably correct. Like, I think this is an early Groblitz family instrument, but it is very difficult to know for sure because it's a complicated lineage. But yeah, one of the most interesting violins to come up for auction this year. Now, Brompton's did have one a couple of years ago actually as well that I also think was correct, but I think possibly a bit later than this. They said 1600, I think, or 1650. And I think maybe it was a little bit later than that. And I think that sold for 6,500. But this one's pretty bad condition, soundpost crack. But I think this is nicer and potentially older. So I suspect it will probably sell for about the same amount of money. So 6.5 or something like that. But anyway, a really, really interesting instrument and one of my favourites. And yeah, if I had the money, I would definitely go for it regardless of the condition. I just think it's, you know, a wonderful example of making outside of Italy. So we've got some other stuff here. We've got French stuff there, Economizar or ascribed to. Got another Joseph Ross instrument, but this time a violin. Violin by Walter H. Mason. Usually has some pretty crazy wood on the back. Let's see if there's anything interesting there. Not too crazy on that one. Violin 4WE Hill and Son. So I think they made some in-house and others were kind of made abroad. Got violin ascribed to Peak there. More German stuff. Violin member of the Klotz family. Let's have a quick look at that. Starting with 800 or so, probably a member of the Klotz family. Not super inspiring looking instrument, to be quite honest. An Irish violin here, Edward Keenan, Dublin 1924, 5-7 on this. Not a maker I know anything about, I must be honest, but looks like quite a nice varnish. But what's the length of back actually on this? 352, that's very good. Good length of back. Yeah, not a maker I know, I'll be honest, but looks interesting. A few more English stuff here. Mircore, violin by Perry and Wilkinson, firm that I know very well. I'm actually very fond of these Irish violins. I think they're really nice. Different grades of them. That looks like a lower tier one. So £800 bid on that. I think actually recently these have gone up in value a bit. You used to be able to get those for not too much money, £400-500 for the lower tier ones. The higher ones are always a bit better, but yeah, going up in value a bit there. Violin France, late 1700s. So let's just have a quick look at this. Got a nice back on that. Quite like that scroll. So a lot of issues once again on that violin. I quite like it, but I think it might be slightly troublesome. 363 also as well. It's very long, so maybe not ideal. Johann Voigt violin there. Julian Emery, I think they sold a few Emery violins. There's another one here a few years ago. This violin, probably Italy, 18th century. I think that's been around a while. Looks familiar. Violin by G.A. Burgess Romford, £800 on that. 1888. Well, interesting varnish on that kind of curious model. Not a maker I know that I can recall in any case. This violin I think we've seen before, a violin by Nathaniel Cross, London, 1731. Once again, an instrument that I would actually really like to own. I think this has a soundpost crack in the back, if I'm right. Yeah, it has a soundpost crack in the back, or some kind of crack. I mean, really nice violin, like really wonderful maker for sure. I think 3000 is pretty fair, even with like a soundpost. Yeah, you can see that kind of crack there in the back. It's a nice, really nice violin. Might be really nice in kind of Baroque classical kind of setup, but a bit too pricey for me, sadly. Got a Circle of Lockey Hill violin here, 1000 on that. Interesting eye of that scroll there. Some miracle stuff. Italy, David Vernon, Manchester, 1981. Once again, not really a maker I know. School of Darzi. This violin by David Rubio, Oxford, 1979, has been around now for quite a while, and it's just, I really like David Rubio's work, like in general. There's a lot of funny things going on with this violin. There's a big chip here, which I think is fine because it's away from the soundpost. Not sure what's going on with this. What on earth was happening? A few bits of damage, and yeah, I just don't know. The model is slightly kind of curious, and I don't know. I don't think that's an unreasonable price, kind of 600 or so. But I think it's just a bit of a hard sell because you're going to have to spend that again, I think, at least getting all of this stuff repaired. So I'm a little bit kind of on the fence of it. Violin, Italy, 19th century. I'm pretty sure this was in one of the previous sales on the internet. Is going a bit loopy at the moment. Maybe not. Maybe I'm kind of mistaking it. But yeah, starting bid 4. Let's see what the length of back is on that. Actually, 359. It's kind of fairly big there. Violin Scribe probably won't finish here. 7/8. Violin by a member of the Carletti family. Like, some of this stuff really sounds familiar to me, like I've seen it before, but my memory is definitely failing a bit. Violin Naples, 19th century, 10 to 15,000. Once again, I don't know if you hard sell unnamed kind of instruments in the 19th century. That seems like possibly quite a lot. Violin Paris, 1770, table by another hand. Violin Workshop of John Betts, London, so 1810, 15 to 25. It just seems a little bit high to me. An interesting wooden varnish on the back. Let's have a look at that. 351, okay. Some of the estimates here seem a bit high. Nestor Ordino there. Violin School of Betts. See, I think I'd be much more inclined to kind of look at something like this. Yeah, really curious back there. Bit of a difficult thing on the front there. In Scotland, Roth there. This, once again, I think we saw this as a previous sale. Violin by Barrett Norman and Nathaniel Cross, London, circa 1720. once again, I don't know if I don't think that's an unreasonable asking price. A nice looking violin as well, although once again the front is kind of problematic, and I think people at the moment are kind of trying to steer away from problems, but there we go. This is an interesting violin by Andrea Castagneri, Paris. This was really nice instrument actually in person, kind of slightly curious model, but yeah, really nice instrument. Interesting, they've got some kind of patch or replaced wood somewhere. I can't really quite see it at the moment, but maybe if I looked at it again in person I could see that, so definitely interesting. George Hudson, JTL, London 1780. So there's lots of different stuff here, all different price ranges. Violin Workshop of Forster, circa 1800, 3000 on that. I mean, some things kind of confuse me a bit because it looks like not quite that old, that instrument, but said it's difficult sometimes. Violin by Benjamin Banks, Salisbury, 1788. This is awesome. I really like Banks. If this was a cello, it would be like 80 grand or something. So I think, yeah, really interesting. Once again, problematic on the condition report. This is seemingly the thing at the moment. I think it gets difficult to get instruments that don't have problems these days. A lot of them seem to be suffering a bit. Violin Tyrolean, circa 1780, with a hill number and receipt from the hills. Nice enough looking violin. Is an opinion, an old Tyrolean instrument dating from 1780. Okay, fair enough. It's got 2,000 bid on that in any case. Violin by a member of the Klotz family, Mitterwald, circa 1800. So it's got an update to the condition report there. And not too bad a condition for its age there. I think we're getting towards the end of the auction here. A few other kind of things. Welsh violin there from Cardiff. Don Tatum, not a maker I'm aware of. Standard kind of books here. Got the big Peter Bidelf, Giuseppe Guarneri del Gesù book, volume 1 and 2 there, already at £1,000 bid, so obviously still popular. And other standard stuff, and a few cases here, one branded gorge for Gen beer, etc. And that's it, yeah, that is the sale. I mean, some really interesting stuff, and probably quite a good sale if you're on a bit of a lower budget. There's nothing too crazy in that sale, other than that Everlay kind of viola. Yeah, some interesting stuff, and potentially some bargains to be had. A lot of things to watch out for, I think, on condition reports, but as this is kind of mid out of season kind of sale, not too bad really, and definitely worth having a look. So link to the auction will be in the info part of the video, so check it out if you have time. So once again, thanks a lot for watching, really appreciate it, and if you have enjoyed these videos, please consider liking, subscribing, turning on notifications, etc., and feel free to send a message or comment or whatever, and I will do my best to reply to you. So thanks a lot once again, really appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.